Hey everyone, I was just taking a quick nap. Me and Walter were having a pajama party. That's where you wear your pajamas all day. Wait, Walter, where's your pajamas? Let me quickly put some on. Poof! Whoa, Walter, you look so cute in your pajamas. Wait, did you bring the mail with you? You didn't? Well, can you go get it, please? Well, Walter's getting the mail. Let's start the show. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Link Show. It is going to be an amazing day today, but we need the mail. Walter, you brought the mail. Let's see what Buckle sent us today. Whoa, look at today's craft. It looks like a post letter. I wonder what it could be for, but we'll find out later when we color it in. Anyway, let's check out today's mystery item. Whoa, this looks like a whiteboard. I wonder why Buckle sent us a whiteboard. Walter, do you know? You're right, Walter. There is no Bible story with a whiteboard in it. They weren't invented yet. This is a really tricky clue. Well, I guess we'll find out later in the animated Bible story. But right now, let's go check out Preach Part 1.
Hey Link, Buckle here, and I want to tell you a story about when I was little Buckle. Now, when I was little, I was at a church a long way away from where I live now, and my dad was one of the pastors there, and we had lots of really good friends. It was amazing. I loved going to Sunday school on Sundays. And so my mum and dad would go to big church where all the adults went, but then all the kids would go to a different building and we would all hang out together. We would sing fun songs about God. We would play games. We get to learn about God in a way that we could understand. It was so much fun. I loved being there. But I remember one week I was really nervous because the leader, one of the adults, he said, "Hey Buckle, we want you to sing. We want you to come on stage and sing one of the songs with some other kids for everybody else." And I was like, wait, everybody's going to be looking at me if I'm on stage and I'm the one singing. And he said, "I know, but you know the song. I've heard you sing the song. You know it really good. And we think you should jump on the stage and help lead everybody else in singing." And I thought, I can't do it. I'm still little. I'm not a grown-up. I'm just a kid. I'm not old enough. I'm not experienced enough. I haven't done it enough. I can't do this. I'm too small. And my leader looked at me and he said, "Well, actually, there's a story in the Bible of someone that felt the same as you." I said, "What?" And he said, "Yes. There's someone in the Bible who felt like he might be too young. And other people even told him, 'You're too young to follow God and do what God says.' But that's not what God says." And so he told me all about the story. Now, I'm going to tell you that story in just a few minutes. But before we tell the story, I wonder if you've ever felt too little before. Have you ever felt like, I'm too little to do great things? I'm too young to do what God wants me to do. I can't make a difference. I can't tell people about Jesus. I'm too little. Well, you're not. You're never too young to do what God wants you to do. And so when we tell this story in just a few minutes, I hope that you'll learn that even though you might be in prep or grade 1 or grade 2, you might still be little, that you're never too little for God to use you to do something amazing. But we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Thanks so much for preaching, Buckle. I love learning more about God. I'm so excited to hear Preach Part 2. But right now, let's check out today's craft. There's 2 bits to the craft. First, there's this side, the coloring in. It says to Timothy, from Paul. This side is the stamp, and everything else on the card, it's up to you. After you color it all in, you stick it back to back. So then it's a cute little post-it just like this. In the blank space, it's a good idea to write or color in an encouragement for someone, just like Paul was doing to Timothy. Like an encouragement I would write is "You've got it," or "You're amazing." If you have stamps, then put it in the stamp here. But I don't have any stamps, so I just made my own stamps by just coloring it in. Well, speaking of coloring in, I want to see all of your arts and crafts. So get a parent, teacher, or an adult to take a photo of your work and send it in to us. Wait, how about we go check out some from the last few weeks? Whoa, those are some epic crafts. You all are amazingly talented. What did you think, Walter? They were amazing? Agree. Wait, look at the time. We need to go see today's animated Bible story. Let's go.
In the New Testament of the Bible, we can find the story of two people, one man named Paul and a younger man named Timothy. Paul was chosen by God to tell people about the love of Jesus, and one day Timothy heard what Paul was saying. Timothy had always believed that a Messiah was going to come to save people and to help them become friends with God again. So when he heard the teachings that Paul was sharing, and although Timothy was still young, he chose to follow and learn from Paul. Wherever Paul went, Timothy would go and listen and learn to find out more about this man named Jesus. Timothy traveled with Paul and Silas to a place called Philippi and helped them establish a church. He saw the opposition that Paul would face as he shared the good news. He also traveled with them to Corinth and helped in building a ministry there as well. Paul also sent Timothy out to help strengthen and encourage other believers in their faith as well. At one point, Timothy was helping to build the church in a place called Ephesus, and Paul wrote him 2 letters which we can find in the Bible. These are the books of 1st and 2nd Timothy. In one of the letters, Paul wrote an encouragement to Timothy because Timothy was still young. He said, "Don't let anyone look down on you or make fun of you just because you're young, but instead set an example for others to follow in what you say, in what you do, the way you love, and through your faith." Paul became a friend and mentor of Timothy and helped Timothy reach the potential that God had for his life. Okay, so I love this story so much because Timothy is learning how to be a leader in the church. He's learning how to lead other people, and Paul is his mentor. Paul is teaching Timothy how to be amazing. And I love that Paul writes a letter to Timothy saying this: "Don't let anybody tell you that you're too young. You are not too young to do what God wants you to do." It's so encouraging. And so Timothy goes on to be an amazing leader in the church. And he's mentioned in the Bible lots and lots of times. And I think that's pretty special. But what we can learn is just like Timothy, you and I, we are never too young for God to use us to do great things. Like in my story, I was little, I was scared, but I trusted my leader and I jumped up on the stage, and guess what? I had so much fun. I had the best time singing and worshiping God in front of all of my friends. And afterwards, my friends even came up and said, "We think that was really awesome and we love Jesus too, so we want to sing those songs with you." And so we all kept singing the songs. I was able to help my friends to worship God. God used me to help other people get closer to God, to be better friends. God used me, a little buckle. It was so cool. And did you know that God wants to use you as well? He wants you to be a light in your classroom so that your friends that might not know about Jesus can learn about Jesus. He wants you to be kind to people when they're sad, to pray for people when they're sick, to make friends with people that feel lonely. God wants to use you to do amazing things. You are not too young to do big things for God. No one is too young to do big things for God. And so why don't we say it all together on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. I'm not too young to do big things for God. One more time. 1, 2, 3. I'm not too young to do big things for God.
The Bible story was Paul and Timothy, the whiteboard you can use to teach people with. And Paul was teaching Timothy. That was such a tricky clue. Did you guess it correctly? If you did, good job. Wait, maybe we should have figured it out because the craft had Paul and Timothy both on it. Next time, I need to keep my listening ears on. That reminds me, let's do the Bible quiz now. Okay, this is how it works. I'm gonna ask you a question. And if you think the first answer is correct, hands on your head. And if you think the second answer is correct, hands on your shoulders. All right, time for question number 1. Walter, did you want to say this one? You do? Okay. He said, who was Timothy learning from? Was it Paul, a follower of Jesus, or was it a fisherman from the market? You've got 5 seconds. If your hands were on your head, that means you're correct. Alright, time for question number 2. What did Paul remind Timothy? That God can use anyone even if you're young, or only grown-ups can do big things for God? You've got 5 seconds. I'm never too young to do big things for God. That one was hands on heads. Alright, time for question number 3. What did Paul want Timothy to do as a leader? Teach others about Jesus with honesty and love? Or keep quiet and not say anything? I think you've got this one. Alright, 5 seconds. Paul wanted Timothy to teach others about Jesus. And God can use us too, no matter how young we are. Walter, how many questions did you get correct? You got 3 out of 3? Well, if anyone else did, give yourself a pat on the back. Today was an amazing day. I learned so many more things about God and all the amazing stuff that he does. Walter, do you want to have a pajama party with me? You do? That's great. Well, I'm Isla and I'll see you next time on The Link Show. Bye.